go through mixers. I've got two mixers here. They're both sort of mid-range brands. To me, it doesn't actually matter that much whether it's an expensive mixer or whether it's a really cheap mixer. As long as it does the job, you're okay. A mixer is basically just a tool. Now, the things that should be going to be making the sound are your decks, basically, or your CDJs, which we'll go into a little bit later. Basically, there's a difference between these two mixers. Now, I don't know if everyone can see what it is, but this is a battle mixer. This is more your normal sort of mixer. Now, what I'll explain a little bit more about now is basically a battle mixer. It's for scratch DJs usually, and it's battling. If you're a scratch DJ, you'll probably use one of these. Not this particular mixer, but one that's got set up like this. Now, your EQs, etc., as you can see, are all on the top mainly. The majority of your controls, bar all these cuts and stuff, you don't get cuts on a lot of mixers. It's a fairly old feature. So basically everything's on the top with these. Now, on your mixer, you've got everything down the sides. You can see like my faders and my EQs are pretty close together. Now, the reason why you have it like this on a battle mixer is because it keeps everything out of the way. And if you're going mental, like flicking all your crossfaders and everything everywhere, like flipping Cut Master Fresh or whatever the hell you want to call yourself, and it's a good thing that these are out of the way, because you might knock them. Now, if one of these EQs was there, then somebody's going to get eaten a load of mid-range probably. On the other mixer, now if I was to go wild with this, then my hand might knock it, as you can see, smashes the low. That's pretty much the only real difference between them. Now, you don't have to use a specific type of mixer for any particular reason. Now, I could use a battle mixer to mix whatever sort of music anyway. Just because our controls appear doesn't mean it's any less functional. It's just there for a reason. So we'll go through a few features of a mixer. On this particular mixer, you can see you don't get this on everything, but these have got auto Bpm counters, which is, it's a nice feature, I suppose. If you're starting off and you're learning, then it's great because it helps you get your beats close, but do not rely on them if you can help it, because they're not particularly accurate all the time. You're better off using your ears if you're mixing. Computers can still be wrong, and you're better off going with your instincts. We'll start from the top anyway. Right, we have mic level controls here on this Behringer mixer. Now, unless you're using an MC, you don't really want to worry about it. Now, if I had an MC, then the level would definitely be all the way down, because if somebody walked into my living room and started talking over the top of my tunes, it would piss me off. But we won't worry too much about that. You've got your high and low controls and the microphone, but like I say, if you've got an MC on, just turn them off, rip the microphone out and kick them off the stage. Lovely. Then you've got your monitor controller as well, which is great. This is basically your headphone control. Now, if I have a set of headphones plugged in, this controls basically the volume of my headphones. I'm getting quite deaf, so it's probably going to be quite far up there. Monitor selector. You've got channel 1, channel 2 master. Now, if I want to listen to what's coming out of the master, which is what's going to be coming out of the speakers, and I press the master button, great. But if you're monitoring, generally you're going to be listening to one of the channels or both of the channels, so you can listen to your blending and mixing. Depending on the way that you actually mix, sometimes you might actually have your headphones a different way. You might be listening to the actual speakers and then have channel 1 in one of your headphone pieces. We'll go more into headphone styles later as well. Starting from the top, trim. Now, this is basically a type of volume control. This is how loud you actually have your channel, which is great. This is your high, basically all your high frequencies. This is your control over them, which enables you to mix a little bit better if you want to use them. Your mid-range, generally if you're going to be mixing, you're going to be using this one a lot, because you'll tend to drop in and drop out basses when you're actually mixing. Further on, we have our input selectors. Now, we'll explain these a little bit. Now, a phono, if I put this onto a phono, you connect turntables. The turntables such as our turntable over here is the sort of one that will connect with a phono cable. Basically a phono cable, it's quite a loud signal, and we also have CD, which is a line signal. Now a line level signal is a different signal to what you'll be getting coming out your turntable. You can't plug the turntable into a line, you shouldn't do it. You can always plug it into a phono. That's all you need to worry about with that really. These are up faders. This is basically, it fades in, literally blends in very slowly, one track or the other. Brings it up very slightly in volume. It's another kind of volume control. Move a little bit on, this is your crossfader. Some people use crossfaders. Now, it's basically the same kind of thing. I can blend from one channel. I want people to see more of channel 1, or I want people to see more of channel 2. You can use this for mixing too. Some people leave the crossfader in the middle and they just quite simply use this to bring in a track, or that to bring out a track, or vice versa. It depends on what style you mix. Now, I can't tell you how to mix. You'll have to learn that for yourself. We have our monitor, channel 1, channel 2. Now, what we have here, it is basically, people call it a VU meter. This, just to get it straight, this is not a VU meter. VU meters actually use little needles. You don't get VU meters on mixers generally. This is actually a peak pressure monitor meter, or a ppm meter. Basically, it will just tell you how loud things are. We'll have a look at this more later, but this basically displays how loud your actual master channel is. So if it's red, that's bad, very bad. That's all you need to know so far, but we'll show you a bit more on that later. Master level, again, that's controlling basically how loud it is coming out the speakers. This is a feature you only really get on these kind of mixers. It's a XPQ sound effect, and this is basically just a sound effect. I don't generally use this, I like it to sound normal. This is a sound effect that makes it sound as if basically you've got a stereo effect, as if you're actually in a club. I don't like to use this because it's not realistic. Okay, and we'll look at the front of the mixer. You do tend to get headphone sockets in some strange places. Generally they're going to be here on the mixer. On some mixers you might get them on top. You'll have to find it for yourself when you get into a club. Here's your mic line in, you will get those on some mixers. We'll look at the back of the mixer. Now, look, here's your on switch. But this is your kettle lead plug, which your power supply goes in here. These tell you basically where we are. Now, if I'm hooking things up, we hook these up with phono cables. We'll go a little bit more into phono cables in a second. Phono cables are your general purpose sort of connectors that you get on most mixers. General audio equipment, you've probably seen them before, you'll have them on your stereo at home. These are your grounds. Now the reason why we have a ground on the back of here is for turntables basically. Stuff like CD decks doesn't need a ground. They don't need a ground quite simply just because of the fact that it's a digital mixer, and also it's already earthed. Turntables do need to be earthed sometimes.